Good evening,
You're on.
everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our second episode of Nuestra Tabla Rasa. Oh, gotta lower that. This is how I watch the chat. Thank you for coming back. Tonight we will be discussing a new topic. Tonight's topic is how to stay centered in chaotic energy, and I think it's really fitting because it's one of the things that we learn when we first start going through our spiritual awakening. And right now, with all the solar flares and all the upgrades and whatnot that we're going through, the releasing, the shadow work, which really is always part of it all the time anyway, it's good to discuss. So let's just give it a couple of seconds. Let's see how many people we have. We have 9 people here today. So I want to say hello to Lindsay and Clint and Scotty Boy and Mo and Grace. And let's see who else is here. Karen Suki, Scotty Boy. I'm not sure if I said you already. Thank you all for staying up late, especially you, Lindsay. I know you're an hour ahead of us. I think Scotty's still waiting for the sun to go down, but I know for you, it's after midnight. It's tomorrow already. Our time traveler, Lindsay, is already in tomorrow. So thank you for staying up, and thank you for coming to our show and hitting the like button. All
Time
right.
travel's awesome.
I love it. I love it. So I took some notes because I didn't want to miss anything. So, um, centered and grounded. It's basically the same thing, but when you talk about being centered, you talk about somebody uh, who is emotionally present and stable and not letting their emotions run them. Someone who can be in any situation and remain calm and very present in the situation and knows how to proceed going forward without letting any outside circumstances affect them. And it could be something as easy as getting up and going throughout your day and handling your tasks for your day as they come productively and being happy and fulfilled and not feeling stressed out. Or it can be something a little different when you have a different kind of job, someone who is maybe a firefighter or a policeman or some other kind of high anxiety job that really needs to always be in command of their emotional state to be able to do their job properly. Um, Certain people can handle higher levels of stress. Uh, why is that? Is that due to them being so centered, the way that they think, or that they actually go ahead and maintain their rounded center behavior because they add things to their routine, knowing that they live a certain lifestyle and they interact or are in situations that require them to be grounded. So, certain people, like most of us here today, we meditate twice a day and we get together with a big family and we spend time together practicing different energy techniques, which shift because we're together with everyone every day. I know for a fact that my intuition and my visualization has gotten way stronger since meditating with Truth Wave with Victor and the family since December. And that's really only like, what, 6 months? But it helps me maintain centered and it helps me pull on the nodes or the energies that I feel so that when I'm facing a situation where there's 5 people talking to me, usually kids or parents or some kind of situation like that, because that's where my lifestyle puts me, I can remain calm and deal with everyone in a great way that lets them know that I'm listening to them and I care about what they're saying without letting myself getting pulled and tugged all over the place and maybe being snappy and rude and all over the place. So that's one way. So today we're going to talk to everyone here and then we'll come back to myself at the end and we'll discuss what they do to stay grounded and how those practices help them and why it is that they feel that they're drawn to those practices. Because the truth is that not everyone likes to meditate. Um, for instance, for me, I didn't like to meditate, and my introduction to meditation was doing a walking meditation. And that's how I eased into meditation. So when I found myself heading to places, usually that's really how it started, that I knew that I was going to be around a lot of people, I would take steps. And with every step that I took, I would be saying an intention or a mantra, which is another way people meditate. So that became a like walking meditation, very much so at the last minute, right? Someone like really just saying, oh my God, I need to do something to center myself. What am I going to do? So there's going to be different practices that maybe you're not going to like right off the bat, but little by little, you find a way to incorporate them into your life. And, I progressed. I went from there to working with people at live, like singing bowl things, and then, trying to find myself that way, closing my eyes and meditating and breathing. And then I did another group with Terry Reiner, which, Renner. I do her sometimes too. And we chit chat a lot and then we meditate and it's wonderful. And that's more of a traditional style meditation. So we all come from different backgrounds here on this panel and we've all been on our journey for different years and we're different people. So today we're going to talk to everyone and see, hey, what do you do? How does it benefit you? And how did you come into it? So Josh was going to join us. He was working, so he was not able to get on from his job site. So we're going to go ahead and skip over to Trista first. Should Josh get on later, then we'll just go ahead and insert him in. But let's hear from Trista and see what she does to meditate and stay centered.
Hi, everyone. So I find for me, it kind of depends. Am I in the moment? Or am I, you know, in a time when I can actually take time to do something to center, you know, kind of on an ongoing basis? So for that, I like pretending I'm a tree and imagining roots growing out of the bottom of my feet. And like the better your visualization can be, the more effective it's going to be. So if you can incorporate all of your senses, like smells and feelings and all of that kind of thing, then it's going to make it more real for you. So yeah, I like to imagine roots growing. I kind of picture the different layers of the earth and have them grow right down to grab onto the center of the earth and then feel that energy come back up to me. So that's one of the things that I like to do. Um, I suggest bubbles to people all the time, though I don't usually use a bubble. It doesn't really, I don't know, I just haven't, but you can decorate the inside of your bubble with like pictures or symbols or whatever you find to be comforting and centering for you. Um, what else? My favorite stone for grounding, though everybody has their favorites and whatever you connect to. Black stones normally will ground, like hematite or jet or obsidian. But my favorite is Orthoceras fossil. It's it's shaped like a teardrop and has a little fossil on it, and it's just perfectly hand sized. Though they come in all shape or all sizes, but I like to get one that fits right in the palm of my hand that I can just put that energy into, and then at the end of the day, put it in a bowl of salt and let it do its thing. Um, or standing and putting my hands like flat to the ground and kind of pushing me whatever I need to get rid of back to Mother Gaia and let her deal with it and ground it. Um, but then if you're in the situation, then what do you do, right? If there, because I've worked retail and that can be stressful and annoying. So in those situations, sometimes you just got to step back. So I might, escape to the bathroom and just go and have like a few minutes of peace, um, and then kind of return when I'm more able to deal with things. um, that's not always possible though either, right? So one of my favorite things is holy basil. So it's a herb. that reduces cortisol, and cortisol is our stress hormone. So I feel it kick in. Like not all supplements are equal, and blah blah blah. And I'm not recommending supplements. Talk to your doctor, la di da da. But it's wonderful, and I'll take it. And maybe 20 minutes, 40 minutes later, depending on like how much food I have in my stomach, I'll feel it kick in, where it'll be like stress, 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 and then just oh, okay, I can think more clearly. I'm not, I'm not focusing on the the stressors around me. It's just it's interesting because like I had never discovered, never known that a herb could do that. You've got like Valium or whatever, but like this is pretty much like that, but in a natural form. And even the monks in the Himalayas will use it when they're meditating and trying to reach enlightenment. If it's good enough for them, then it's good enough for me. So, and then the other way to reduce cortisol is crying. So if you can, then go for it, because that's probably the best way. And I think that's why we feel so much better after a good cry. I think that's also why. So here's a funny story. So a few years ago, I was moving and I was so stressed, like, and everything, not just the moving. There was just so much going on, and it was just a horrible time. And so I figured, okay, I'm going to put on stand-up comedy. There's another good way, right? Comedy always kind of centers you. So I put on my favorite stand-up comedian, who I'd seen that act a million times, and one of the parts caught me where I just started laughing, and I started laughing harder and harder until suddenly I just burst into tears. And like, not just like, tears, but like crying, sobbing like a baby. And I thought, well, I must need this. So I just let it happen. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm better. At least for now, I'm better. So let yourself cleanse and purge those feelings and those literal hormones that engage that tense feeling in you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I do. So yeah, I think that's it. Victor?
What was the name of that herb again? Darren
Oh,
Suntoast.
holy basil, and it's also known as Tulsi, which is the name of one of my cats. She is not as stress relieving as the herb at all. She screams. It's not helpful.
Excellent. Are you ready for me, Millie?
Yes, please go.
Okay. I will back up a little bit because you guys all know what I do. Everyone here knows what I do on a regular basis, twice a day, to help me deal with things. And one of the things about the Truth Node, and that's walking your talk. And I don't just I like to practice what I preach, and I try I put a lot of effort into walking my talk and being what I talk about on Truth Wave, what I'm asking all of you to be. All right. But before that, let's back up some, because I didn't just, this came to me almost a year ago, and, Truth Wave has started, and the way it works, it looks like Josh is coming back in. Can you say something, Josh? Test? Nope. No, I guess he can't say anything yet. Yeah, kittens do help too, Care Bear. But when I got on the path in 2016, I would typically carry a piece of Apache Tear in my pocket. And Trista mentioned some black stones earlier, and Apache Tear was the one I glommed onto. And I went through a lot of Apache Tear because I would lose them invariably, in your trouser pocket, and sometimes you would drop them. And I would also give them to people that needed them at the time. I'm sure all of you have given crystals and stones to people that are in need of them. And that's how I would typically do it. But now I found that I don't really use anything like that anymore, because I think what we do is throughout throughout our evolution, as we were all seekers here. Excuse me. We're all seekers here, and we're on this path. And I think that path, certain things like the Apache tier would work for me up to a certain point. And it's kind of like whenever I kind of forgot about it. And I don't know if any of you have had this forgetting where you used to have this process that you would do, and then for some reason, oh, I lost my stone, and you don't ever replace it. And I think it's kind of one of those natural things as we grow on this path that we're on, things will fall away. Things will fall away that we used to do. And I've had a lot of those things fall away, especially since starting Truthwave, because I'm kind of getting all my bases covered twice a day in that. But I used to be very religious, interesting choice of words, about carrying that Apache tier with me. It's very dear to me, and it was part of my protection ritual. All right. I used to put up protection all the time throughout the days. Throughout my day, I would say Archangel Michael and Spirit, very much like how we start Truthwave, how we start that session. And I would say it and had multiple experiences telling other people about it, just simply telling them what I say. And then I would have these responses, or people would text me and say, what's going on with you? I just felt something different from you. And that was just by telling another person how I put up protection. But I've found throughout the years that my process keeps getting more refined and more refined and more refined. I don't know if any of you have noticed that as well, that you seem to be doing it in a bigger way, but without so many steps, without so many little gadgets along the way. Some of those gadgets fall off. And it's really been a progression throughout the last, it's almost been, I guess it's been 9 years now. I'm well into my 9th year on the path. And now, like I say, everything I do in Truthwave, everything I do is doing something in that regard. And what do we do? What do we talk about before the second? When we come together in our circle for the third time, what are we doing? We're talking about being in charge of our reaction to any given situation. That's another thing that I do to remind myself that no matter what I'm faced with, that ultimately, Millie's not in charge, Lucky's not in charge, Trisha is not in charge, Josh isn't, Victor is. I am in charge of that. And I really work hard on myself throughout the day in between these 12-hour sessions. And once one of them ends, I'm working on myself. I'm keeping myself centered, keeping myself grounded, keep being in charge of myself, essentially, of my reaction to any given situation. So and unfortunately, it's not as cool as some of the other stories, but that's, you guys already know what I do. You already know. So I will roll it on over to Lucky if he's ready. Lucky, you ready? Or unless there's any questions, Millie or Trista.
I guess not. So I'll move forward. Hey, I work in a stressful office environment. I work in biopharmaceuticals. So the funny thing about me is stressful situations are great for me because I handle stressful situations really well. It's when things are not stressful that I tend to get anxiety, and it's the most backwards, upside down thing. And for me, it's affirmations. I say the same group of affirmations. I mean, simple ones like I'm relaxed, I'm content, I'm at peace. Everything's working out fine as it needs to be, no big deal. And it does turn everything around because, again, usually when nothing's happening or very little stress situation, that's when I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I need to do something. And my job, it's usually, fight or flight. It's either move, go, go, or just wait for something to happen. And I'm always preparing. And once I run out of things to prepare for, then I'm left on my own. So my affirmations, grounding, Mother Earth, calling to her, Gaia, basically imagining from my heart center down through my feet, down to the center of the earth, and then back up again, and then through me up to Source or Father Sky. Many names, same thing. And by me becoming a connection to Source and Mother Earth, I have both of their energy, but I also can share the energy between the two. So, I'm kind of like giving Mother Earth a conduit to talk to Father Sky, and giving Father Sky a conduit to talk to Mother Earth. Although it might not be necessary, it helps me kind of help move things along. I'm at peace, they're at peace, sort of thing. Some people have I have spirit guides. I can talk to them anytime, but they're the spirit guides are usually offhands. They just basically, this is yours. This is your burden to carry, and you can drop it any time. It's yours though. So, but yeah, for me in the meditation, the funny thing is you mentioned walking meditation. Although I do meditation a couple times a day, before I go to sleep and when I first wake up, it's an automatic thing. And then there's the truth wave meditation too. For me, I need to walk at least 30 minutes to an hour a day outside. It's just one of the things I need to do. And that has really turned my life around. Just getting outside and it doesn't matter where. For me, I have a conservation land near my house, so at the end of my day, I can walk the conservation land, or the beginning of the day, I can walk as long as it's light out, no big deal. But being outside and just moving, walking meditation, or just walking and just being in nature really does bring me to peace. And that's something that's really important to me and kind of relieves a lot of it. I mean, I do take herbal supplements. I take so many that a little bit of each, and because I do feel that a lot of these are a little goes a long way, and I've learned from experimentation. I mean, magnesium. Some people take magnesium. I take 2 kinds of magnesium, but one of them doesn't work for most people. Works for others. I'm not going to mention anything more than that because I'm not a doctor. For a lot of these things, is that what works for you. It takes time and experimentation. I mean, vitamin B for me, there's multiple kinds of vitamin B, magnesium, there's other things that work really well. But again, everything works for me, not work for other people. I mean, I had people always telling, "Oh, try this, try this, try this," and for me, it didn't work. But what did work for me might not work for other people. A big thing also is I've had heartburn all my life, and I was on those acid blockers, and they used to mess with my mind. They're not a side effect for your mind, but for me, it just did weird things to me. And what works now for me is literally a pinch of baking soda. Baking soda you buy for like a box for like $1. A pinch in like a 2 liters of water, for me, solves all that problem. And I do it once a day. If it gets bad, if I eat poorly, a pinch in my mouth, swallow it with water, and I'm all set. But yeah, the acid indigestion, that was another thing used to fight with me, and we used to make things more, awful because when your body is in pain, it messes with your mind. So once I got that off the table, it really another thing that helped my life. Also simply walking helped my body. So the aches and pains also went away because I'm just low impact walking. It's like to reduce my stress is like a whole different things, a whole bunch of things. The affirmations, the once in a while meditations, medical things. Taking the right herbal supplements and baking soda. All these things together has basically worked in my life, but they all involved a process where I had to find what amount worked for each thing. But again, yeah, if it's a high stressful situation, I'm perfect. I'm no problem at all. It's when it's middle stressful situation, a no stressful situation, my mind tends to go crazy. But I worked it out, so I don't know else more to say.
That's perfect, Lucky. And something that I think is a common thread with all of us is that once you are more present with yourself, you're able to diagnose something for yourself that maybe you've lived with for a long time, but you get to know your body and you get to know, hey, you know what, that's not good for me, right? So like, I don't know, Trista does. I know I take supplements. I believe Josh does. I don't know about you, Victor, but there's certain things that
I do.
that we realize you do too. See, so that I think that's interesting. and and the accountability thing too that you said, Victor. I think that that also shifts a lot of things because being more present also for me um, had to be being more accountable, not to get out of victim mode. Because when I was coming up on the awakening, I felt like a lot of times like things were happening to me, and then I came upon this whole thing. Well, no, it's not that things are happening to you; they're happening for you. And then I was like, all right, but what does that really mean? And I think that when you take accountability, you're able to just flip the script on something like that and just make it different, where you don't have that victim mentality. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I know that that for me coming out of it was like something that would just throw me off because I would get that would unground me because I felt like things were just happening to me. I was just some victim of circumstance. So I don't know if any of
I think you make a great point there. And I'm sorry.
I said I don't know what your experiences with that are if you guys like had that experience.
Mine has been more like a shedding to stay centered, to keep myself centered. I've noticed in my journey, I've been shedding, and it's mainly been shedding stuff, shedding stuff because I found out recently that I operate a lot better with a clean environment. Well, I think everyone does, but I'm talking about with just not carrying a lot of physical baggage, not just emotional baggage sort of thing, but is carrying that physical baggage of having a lot of stuff. I kind of envy Josh in a way because he talks about, he lives a kind of a Spartan lifestyle. And you know what? And Josh, I don't Josh, if he's here, he could answer that question. But I think it's very important to realize not only what you need physically and emotionally, but also environmentally, because some people love to have that office that is very books everywhere. It's very comforting to them. Say it's just books, and books are overflowing throughout the whole room. And I was that way for a real long time, but I realized it's comforting to me on a certain level, but also I also thrive better in a cleaner environment with less things and less stuff because I've literally gotten rid of almost everything that I owned on this journey. And I used to own a lot. I used to have a lot of stuff, but then you have that realization: hey, is this stuff serving me? And if it is, what is it serving? Is it serving my ego, or is it serving me in a positive way? And to stay in our, to stay centered in this chaotic, world we live in. I noticed that as I started getting rid of that motorcycle and this toy and this, it was freeing me up to do other things that were really serving me instead of wasting my time. It's like, what is it? How many of us have stopped watching the news? How many of us have checked out from keeping up with that day-to-day nonsense that's going on our planet? And that's trying to create that fear out there, or trying to, anything we absorb now on YouTube. If it makes you feel a certain way outside of, our community, if it's meant to make you feel a certain way, then it's probably manipulating you. And so that's another thing that we can do is mind our minds, mind what we're putting in to our vessel every day, not just food. Food's a great example too. What are we putting into our body? And then it's even with pharmaceuticals. I don't know what specifically Lucky works in, but hopefully it's vitamins. I don't know. You don't have to say anything, Lucky, but I hope it's vitamins or something along those lines. But there's my 2 cents on that.
Thank you. Trista,
I work.
do you guys have? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I work in rare diseases, therapies for rare diseases. It's all from proteins that the body doesn't make themselves. People need them injected into their bodies. It's not like anything controversial. These are the things people need that they're missing from their bodies. That's what we make. That's the simplest explanation. Small groups of people with rare diseases, I make the medicines for them.
Good.
Great, Trista.
I just thought of when Lucky was talking about walking outside. They've actually done studies comparing the benefits of exercising outside versus inside, and it's substantial. So yeah, it's not all in your head for sure. That's the way to do it. Also, I've read and I definitely believe that we really don't need anything outside of ourselves. So yeah, like as far as crystals and stuff go, and I love them, and I do like obviously wear them and use them and whatever, but we really don't need anything outside of ourselves. And it's funny because as I was writing that down when Victor was talking, and then I reached and I like picked up my stone that I've been coddling this whole time. So fall back. It's okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've got something else to interject too, something I find useful throughout my day. And if you guys, I'm not stepping on you, am I, Millie? You guys
No,
are
no,
just a
no.
little bit delayed on my end. So,
We're good.
okay. Is I actually, when we send healing out to people, many of you have been there, many of you in chat have been there, but I kind of take a light shower at the end of the show. I just take a light shower. And that's a nice thing for me because in a sense, it's just kind of a nice cleansing because, I deal with everyone's energy. And it was suggested to me a couple of months ago, thanks to a dear friend of mine. And I just kind of take that nice light shower and just let it come down and just wash over me. And it is amazing the power of like affirmations or mantras, the powers of them. And, Krista, who's probably fast asleep right now, blindly inspired, talks about the importance of just, when I used to mow all the time, I'd be Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. I'd do that and get in this state. Well, I was freaking mowing my grass, and I would be in that. I'd be deep in Om Mani Padme Hum while doing this chore that I did not like. I was not a fan of mowing or just destroying. Because you're out there destroying a lot of stuff for the sake of a monoculture. Well, my yard was not a monoculture because I didn't put down any garbage in it, but basically you're out there destroying an environment just purely for how something looks, and then in turn, it's not just how it looks, but that affects your property value. So then now we're back onto the monetary thing, back on that greed thing, and got to have our house looking a certain way. It's a vicious circle as far as I'm concerned, but I started with a golden, just like a nice shower of light, just a nice shower of light. So I would encourage everyone to try that because you can do it right now. You can literally just take that shower of light and let that light just come down, just like it's water drops, come down over your body and just bathe in it. And it's very cleansing in a sense, but it also comes to our point, staying centered. And it's just one of those things, one of those tools, because every one of us here have those bags. We have our tool bags. And, it's Trista's Holy Basil, and it's Lucky's Walks, and it's Millie's communing with the animals, And I even think Lucky even posted something today or yesterday about talking to animals out there, and how rewarding that can be. Because think about that release, that animal that's interacting with you, even if it's just walking by, it's still an energetic exchange on some level. So, how I like to look up the medicine and things. And I think it's a wonderful, because you can find that opportunity everywhere out there throughout your entire day. Even if you're working in some kind of facility, there's got to be something in there. There's going to be something. If you're looking the right way, you're going to find a nugget in there that you can say, oh, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. And change your entire energy on the situation. Wow. It's got some thunder.
I hear that. That's nice. All right. Well, so now I'm going to share with you guys. I know I did briefly in the beginning what I do to stay centered. And my stuff is basically just incorporated into my routine here and there because even though I'm a stay-at-home mom, right, and I'm running the house, I get a lot of interruptions, and you would think that that's not the case. But between mom, I forgot my instrument, to mom, this school is killing me with those lunches, and we don't have a cafeteria. I need a hot lunch. And okay, if you can't cook it today, now they have telephones where they can order the stuff and can you pick it up and drop it off because they're not allowed to get DoorDashes at the school and whatnot, you know. So that's going to be another challenge I face now as I'm looking for a full time employment that, you know, mom can't do that anymore. And even if I'm working remotely at home, I still can't go run out to drop off lunch. But that's another story. Um, but I start off every morning doing something that I think Victor has talked about and rods. And really, for me, it's just looking into the sunlight with my eyes closed. I mean, sometimes with my eyes open, I know that they say that can make you blind. I don't know. I don't think I'm blind because of it. But I just like to have that
We can discuss
sunlight.
that too.
Yeah, I love to have that sunlight just hitting me because to me, that's like really a battery recharger. You know, some people like the moon to go charge, and it's great to be outside at night and all, and howling at the moon on a full moon and all. But for me in the morning to get up and just have that sunlight hit me and to be hearing the birds in the background and just, you know, if it's a breezy day and smelling that fresh air, that really powers me up in the morning and just really centers me. And it makes me happy. You know, you're grateful to be alive, you're grateful to be in nature. So it's almost even encompassing without wanting to so many other practices like gratitude, and it's the grounding and the centering and getting really that solar energy to power me up. So that's something that I like to do, and I usually do that like within minutes of getting up. You know, I have a French press, so I got to wait 6 minutes for that. So while that coffee is brewing or pressing or whatever it's doing there, I'm usually in the backyard, and that's another thing that I incorporate constantly. I'm constantly in and out by a back door, so I'll be doing something, whatever, and it might be, you know, once every hour and a half too. I go outside and I want to see who's in the yard, and that's when I'll see the groundhog or I'll see what birds are singing outside, and then I'll be like, oh, let's see if they have bird seed, and that constant in and out, and just while I'm out there releasing any stress, any energies that might have me maybe, I don't know if I'm feeling anxious or I've got something on my mind. And just while I'm out there, just doing what Krista and Lucky said, a combination of that, and just feeling energy flowing right through me and then pushing it down, you know, like we say it, and truthfully, pushing it down. But really, it's like grounding and visualizing those roots just going into Mother Gaia to just release them and basically just like cleaning myself out. That I find helps me a lot. So it's a continual break. Um, so it's not again doing this long walk. I mean, they say that really you should ground about 30 minutes a day. So I get mine, but they might be like in
Wow.
5 to 10 minute intervals. Um, Never anything steady, but that helps me a lot. I'm trying to think of what else I do. I keep salt in my shower. So when I shower, um, I like to go ahead and the very last thing I do after I'm done rinsing everything is just put salt on my head and, you know, kind of do a prayer, an affirmation, an invocation, a decree, whatever you want to call it, and just asking to be cleansed of all the energy that I've picked up. And just, you know, either sometimes if I'm really in a hurry, I'll just take the salt and put it in with the shower gel and just put some salt, and it's kind of a scrub too, and I'll polish up my skin and it'll serve as a self-care thing too. And you know, however it is that I can get it in there, but I find that salt is good. If I have a bad phone call with someone, where there's like, you know, an argument or heavy energy, because, you know, I'm not going to say, you know, I don't go to PTO meetings, but Girl Scouts or whatever, you know, something that's not that critical that people seem to take very critical. I'll definitely grab some salt and I'll wash my hands and just literally wash that, you know, and I keep salt right there in the kitchen very quickly and just wash my hands of it. So just little things like that where I don't want to carry that energy and I release it. So those are
Hmm.
good. I don't do affirmations anymore, but I'd like to start. But I do have certain little mantras that I say in situations that, you know, like whenever I find myself with something and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then I'm like, yep, no one can do it better than I can. And that's like not even like a big whatever, but it's always like, oh, nadie puede más que yo. And it's a Spanish thing. I always hear it in Spanish, which I think is funny. But but that's definitely something that I'll say, hey, no one can do it better than me. And that helps, motivate me and stay resilient when I'm like, oh wow, so I don't let myself go there. So anything else, guys? Any
That's
any
nice.
other practices? Yes.
I had a thought. So when you're talking about salt, because I don't know how much you guys follow like natural health trends, but I get to hear about them all with my job. So everybody's all on the Celtic salt right now, right? Take a little bit of salt and drink your water, and that's great. But now I wonder, like with you talking about it, I started to wonder. I wonder how much of what we get from that is from the salt itself and the grounding nature of the salt, as opposed to just the minerals that are naturally occurring in there. Because I mean, that's obviously a huge part,
Hmm.
but I wonder, you know. Same thing with magnesium, because Dolores Cannon says that magnesium is a great way to ground other people's energy out of your own, which is really interesting. And people with fibromyalgia benefit from magnesium hugely. I mean, we all do. We use it for like 300 to 800 different functions in the body, depending on who you listen to. But I've found, and I mentioned this on one of my videos, but I've found that every person that I know who has fibromyalgia, so like not a generalization, but from my experience, every single person, they all are the type to take other people's problems and make them into their own. And then they benefit from magnesium. So I mean, it all just kind of comes out in the wash, doesn't it? That's all.
I
Interesting.
love that. Well, I have a thought on that. I When I was done with chemo, the one of the last things that they did for me is or the last treatment protocol was that I had for 10 weeks, 5 days a week, a 1 hour drip of arsenic, which really just wreaks a lot of damage on your whole neurological system. And shortly thereafter, when I finished, one of the side effects or one of the things I had is I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia,
Right.
and I had incredible pain. And Lucky was talking about how hard it is to be present when you have something that's annoying you in your body. And with fibromyalgia, I mean, it's like just standing alone is painful and annoying, and you just want someone to, if someone's talking to you, it's like, oh my God, spit it out, just say it already. Like your patience is nothing. Um, Everything is a chore, right? And I remember, and that's part of being ungrounded. And now you saying that, and I just remember the pain. And I remember going to the doctor, and they're saying how there's no cure for it. But I can tell you that I have not had a flare up in like 2 years now. It's I say I'm cured because I believe that as during that spiritual awakening and during all that stuff, right? Because I always say that cancer was a
Hmm.
way that spirit set me on my butt. I believe that that was how I got rid of, not got rid of, like I'm still empathetic, right? But I don't take on people's problems like that because I was always the type of person that people would, even random people, I didn't even know them, they're telling me their whole life story, like really like what's considered oversharing, just like like I was a therapist, and it was fine. I don't mind and whatever, but I was taking that in as the problem. And I think that that pain in my body and my whole system was not just as a result of that actual poison, but it was the poison that I was ingesting from everyone burdening me and offloading their problems on me. And I didn't make that connection or correlation. And I think that a lot of people with fibromyalgia will tell you, oh no, you can't crew it. Oh no, it's this and that. But I think that if they could find a way to get out, get some sun, walk, and start doing things to detox their body in a spiritual way, I think little by little that would be gone, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have that pain anymore and I don't get those flare ups.
Yeah.
So,
And
Yeah.
look at how your whole demeanor though has changed. You
yeah.
see, look at how your whole lifestyle has changed of how you look at yourself and how you view yourself and how you treat yourself. And even to Lucky's point, Lucky's taking baking soda, and baking soda is all over X being used as a treatment to kill parasites. He may not even know that, or he may know that in the industry he's in. So I don't know if he does or not, but it's wonderful. Now you're seeing all kinds of things that have been suppressed throughout all these years. It's like even self-full love. We talk about it in Truth Wave twice a day. There's so many things that we were, because most of us are close to the same age. I would say we're almost all in Gen X, close, if not close.
Definitely.
And look at all the things that we were denied for decades, and now all of this stuff is coming out. I saw a gentleman, he's probably in his 70s, doing 6 squirts down his throat whenever he of hydrogen peroxide, and he's doing 6 squirts down his throat on an inhale, and he does it a couple times a day or 3 times a day or whatever, and it's apparently cured many things in his body. So, and I guess, Lucky, you probably know where this. You probably have heard many of these things I'm talking about. If you want to speak on it,
I have no. Everything I've done is basically. You've talked about unplugging. I have unplugged a lot in the past 10 years. So what other people say, I don't know much about it. I just know what works for me. And pharmaceutical wise, no, I work in a company that's holistic stuff. They're right into holistic. I mean, in all honesty, I was on Paxil for 5 or 6 years, and I was having side effects. And so the doctor recommended, the psychiatrist who can prescribe the medicine recommended me see a therapist. And the therapist he recommended wasn't available, so I ended up sending another therapist who's more holistic. And he taught me that, he says, wait, what are you doing? Let's take, the Paxil might not be the problem. It might be you need to treat yourself in a different way. And that's when he taught me, just get outside, take a 5 or 10 minute walk a day. Don't worry about it. You don't care where you're going. Just take a 5 or 10 minute walk a day. And then maybe try these supplements. And after the course of 6 months, the side effects that the Paxil was supposed to give me, it went away. And then he says, how about we try this? Because usually with Paxil, you develop a tolerance. Went the other way. He says, how about you cut off the Paxil and see how you feel? Not cold turkey, you cut it down. And then let me just tell you, the psychiatrist was livid. He was so upset. You can't get off of this. This is a whole life thing. But with the therapist talking to him, and we agreed, okay, I won't be going off of it. I'm gonna go down, and then the therapist says, okay, let's between you and me, and we're gonna cut down more. Since I was at half dose, we're gonna do another half dose. I got off Paxil, and honestly, never any of the reason why I got on the Paxil never came back. And when all the psychiatrists say you get off Paxil, everything you had to get on Paxil, reason why you got on it's going to be 10 times worse. And I didn't have that because I was walking, I was taking the vitamin B's and magnesium, and I was taking it St. John's wort, but the doctor recommended me to cut that down because it was the problem with St. John's wort, because you don't know what's in it. The kava kava, the same thing, you don't know the sources, but magnesium is magnesium, magnesium orotate or magnesium citrate. The vitamin B's, you got to, there are certain sources of those that you can look on the package and know what you're getting. It was so yeah. I am not the greatest representative of the biopharmaceutical industry. I just take my own path, and I don't tell anyone what to take because what I did was mine. And that's I work with a therapist. The therapist told me these are things you're getting yourself, and we're talking to each other. So he wasn't prescribing anything. He was just talking me through it. And he says, you seem a lot better, and you feel better than you did on the Paxil. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, it's a convoluted, intricate story of my life, but yeah, life is an adventure. I don't know where I went with that. I think I went on a tangent.
I think it was good. I think
yeah, that was good.
I think part of it is us realizing that what's ours, what we're in control of. Once we get more centered, you're able to say, okay, why am I feeling this way? Am I feeling this way as a result of someone or something else? Am I feeling this way um, because of this drug? Like the dependency, even the way the things that you were saying, that you would reach for your uh, crystals and then you didn't need them anymore. The less you give your power away, the more centered and balanced you are, the better you are holistically as a whole spiritual being. I mean, I know that there's people that do need medication, and we're not in any way saying that people should get off their medications or anything like that. We're not here to say any of that. But just listen to your body and lucked out with someone that was a therapist that was more open-minded, and I was lucky enough to be able to move my body more and see certain things and realize, hey, I don't need all that, because honestly I feel heavy when I'm doing all that. So, the more we're centered and the more we're aware, the more we know what's ours. A lot of times maybe people feel not so great, right? And they don't realize it's because they're taking on other people's problems, or they're not cleansing their energy the right way to help them stay centered and balanced.
There's something I just
I
thought of
agree.
today.
I agree.
Yeah. Today I was reading Facebook, unfortunately, Facebook, and someone I had lost contact with a couple years ago, but they were a guru. They would write some affirmations and I would pick up on that. This was 5 years ago when I was working. This is a while ago. And they were so with it. They were so absolutely with it. Their life was turning around. They were positive, and I used them. And then, of course, lost contact because we all have different lives. He was saying that, oh, I've been through 9 doctors and they still don't know what's wrong with me, and I'm not sure. And here, when can people pray for me? And this is a person who had it locked. Their life was perfect. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened? What changed? I mean, a lot of what happens for you mentioned it. Everything we need is inside us. We need to find it in ourselves and work our way through it. And I guess some people lose the message. I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. Someone who was so in on it. They would say the most positive things. Positive affirmations are the key, and these goodness. And now they're have this disease that they don't know what's wrong. They have 9 doctors that can't figure it out. CAT scans, MRIs, blood tests. But you know, I don't want to advise anyone, so I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to say anything, condescending or insulting. But maybe the problem isn't the doctors. Maybe it's they have to find within themselves and diagnose themselves. But that takes a lot of work. I don't know. It surprised me. It blew my mind today, and it just came back when you were mentioning things about personal responsibility for us.
It could be, sometimes when people are that comfortable, then the universe is going to throw something at them and go, okay, you have a lesson to learn now. So here you go,
Yeah,
figure it out.
that's a good point.
Or,
Yeah.
or not even the universe, them before they're born, too, right? We decide our lessons before we get here. I believe that anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
all
agree
very
with you
true.
on that regard, Trista.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wow. Or um, sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is the case with your person, sometimes people aren't who they seem to be
That too.
on
Yeah.
screen, and then you keep doing the
Yeah.
work, then you realize, oh, okay, and they're not. That I've come to see that too, and that's kind of like disheartening. It's like, oh, okay. But
That's one of the worst things is
Well, you know-
people that you thought were so with it and in it and on it, and you're progressing on your path, and you're like, I'm in a great spiritual path, I'm in a great place, and you look back, people that you were so far ahead of you, you look back and they're so far back, and they're, and it's heartbreaking. That's what it more is. I thought for sure they'd be further than I am, and then I look back and they're so far behind, and I felt so sad, and I didn't know what to do. I don't know. I didn't say anything. I just looked at it and figured anything I said would might be taken the wrong way, and I don't want to do that at all.
But I will disagree with you a little bit on that, Lucky, because I don't. That's kind of looking at it. Well, you could say that you might have better understanding in this area, but they may have better understanding in this area. So it's almost, that's like I'm saying it's a competition, and I'm not trying to deride you or anything. I'm just disagreeing that they might be higher or lower because just because you have that understanding. It's like everyone here, all four of us have a different understanding, and everyone in chat, the 12 people with us in chat, have different. We're all at different levels of however many different understandings there are out there. Because I don't have a lot of knowledge on stones. You know, if Chloe was here, or Trista, or Millie, or Lucky, you guys might have a really great understanding on all these different stones. I have tons of crystals and stones. Can I tell you all their names? No way. No way. I know the lapis. I know my favorites. I know what they're called. But I like to keep that perspective in there because we're all on different we're all on different paths going to the same destination. And some of us are very good at one thing and very strong in a certain area. And I will second that partially because like I used to be very devout to watching certain channels on YouTube. That's why I've even said on my channel, this might work for you for a while, and then it may not in the future. Some people come once a month, get their fix, and then their frequency may increase over time. So that person was obviously not as evolved in the same area that you are evolved in, especially if it elicits that kind of, oh yeah, I thought they were this and this and this. But then the thing is, they may be a guru in certain ways of motivating people that some people appreciate, and then in other ways, they may be really great at helping other people, but not turning around and looking at those lessons for themselves. Perhaps that's what it is. So I'm not trying to deride your statement or anything. It's just I'm just disagreeing with you. Simply disagreeing in that kind of saying that we're all either higher or more or less than prepared than someone else.
I don't think you're disagreeing. It's I just didn't put it in the right way. And you're right. You're 100% right. We're all on a different spiritual path, and it's not a map like 2D map. We're in different places on it. It's just I was surprised the person was in a place they were. That's it. Yeah, you're right. We're on different spiritual paths, and
no, I get
what
that.
I see, what we see is different, and it's also sometimes things come out of our mouths that we're expecting, but that's how we teach ourselves information. So yeah, I don't think there was any
Sure.
disagreement at all. I think it was just a perception issue.
Okay.
Yeah, you know
and
what?
I have this thing that I do. What?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
Oh, okay. I have this thing that I do when I meet a spiritual person. Typically, they start up here with me. Okay. Compared to a non-spiritual person who's going to be here, because it's almost like I have this affinity for this spiritual person. You have a rapport with them, and then as you get to talking to them, that may increase or it may decrease a little bit. But typically, like if I met any of you at the Walmarts or somewhere public, if I said that intentionally with an S just because it's funny, but if I was to come across anyone in chat, and we're having this wonderful experience, I'm going to automatically hold you in this high regard, you see. Whereas if I met one of you and you were not a spiritual person, I would hold you. It's like an automatic switch. So this is kind of going into what Lucky was talking about. It's kind of like I have this thing where I hold spiritual people at a higher regard than I do non-spiritual people. And that's something I work on. I work on to try to hold everyone in high regard, regardless of them not being spiritual or having any understanding. And that's just one of my personal things that I work on a daily basis, is to not hold people. Wow, that's emphasis. Is to
Yeah.
not hold people in low regard if they're not spiritual or on the path. So I get what Lucky is saying, and hey, I used to be devout to some of these people out there that I used to watch religiously, and then it's kind of like they held that niche for me, and then that niche was no longer needed. And I expressed that earlier in our stream right here. I used to do certain things that I needed at that time, and then I kind of moved on from them. They're still out there, and I could say some names, but I'm not going to. But the thing is, they're still out there doing their stuff, and they still have tons of followers and all this thing. But I just kind of came in and got what I needed, just like what we do at Truthwave. Some people come in and take energy, and that's fine. If they want to drink from a fire hose, that's their deal. So there you go.
I love that. I was going to
Yeah,
say,
we're a little bit over time too.
yeah, we're wrapping it up, but I was just say, you know what, Victor, you're right. It's perspective, and everyone. The reason that we all jive so great together and the families come in is because everyone's got their own talent, and everyone is at different levels. And you're right. It's like what's hard for me is way easier for someone else. Something that I might have been struggling with, or am currently struggling with, maybe for a long time. Someone else can have it and then take care of it in a weekend. And but it'll hold me up, but they'll be like, oh, well, what do you mean it's holding you up? You're doing this. So yeah, you're right. All perspective. All perspective. Well,
Indeed.
I want to thank everyone for staying with us for an hour. I know it's late for some people.
I don't know where they are.
Yes, Lindsay's still on. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Trista, Lucky, Victor, for sharing what you do and being open to discussing it. Lucky, you good? Oh, yeah, yes, okay. So join us, please, next week. I don't know who our host will be and what topic we'll be discussing, but it'll definitely be something that we
Shoot,
feel
I
would
lost
be
the
terrific
sound.
to share with you guys. And again, thank you for coming, and please tell all your friends, and be sure to hit the like. And we look forward to spending time with you again next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lucky.
You hear
Thank you,
me?
Trista. Thank you, Millie. Thank you, Josh.
I lost sound.
Yes. Thank you, Lucky. All right. Until next time. Good night.
Take care, everyone.